when people are like, oh my God, your dog is so beautiful. What are you supposed to say to that? Because like when people say that for babies, you can be like, oh, thank you. Because,
my genetics did this.
You should say thank you. Yeah, you should.
You can still say thanks.
Yeah.
So are you, Dollface, and then wink at them.
You're saying thanks on behalf of the dog.
Okay. Because it feels weird to say thank you for that. Because I had no hand in the creation of this dog.
Sometimes I just agree with them.
Yes.
Well, I was about to say that could be the other option is like, I know, right?
That makes people insane, though.
Yeah, people love
in
that.
other circumstances, that makes people insane if you just agree with them.
Or take the opposite tack. You can go, no, he's not. He's hideous.
He's
what are
hideous.
you talking
He's
about?
God's shame.
Well, the way that I deflect from having an awkward answer is like, yeah, he's cute, but he's a total asshole. Don't let the looks deceive you.
That's pretty good.
You can do that if you like.
Yeah, but I was just like, what's the standard way to respond to that? Because saying thank you seems weird.
Thanks is for sure the standard way.
This is my brother and me, right? That's the one I'm doing. We're gonna do the advice.
Yeah,
stuff,
y'all want a Yahoo? Go ahead and destroy the financial district, Godzilla. Make the people happy. This is episode 372 of Insert Credit, the show with a panel of video game experts, a horrible buzzer, and a dream of audience sustainability through intentionally pronouncing the names of video games funny. I'm Alex Jaffe, or alexjaffe.bsky.social on the blue sky these days.
Oh, hi, I'm Frank Cifaldi, and I'm Frank Cifaldi, whatever the default one is. Do I need to look that up? Hang on.
No, you don't.
Okay.
.bisky.app.
Got a risky for the biscuit.
The social, I don't know. Yeah, that one.
I'm Ash Parrish, and I am Ad Astra on the Beesky. That's ADASHTRA.
I'm Brandon Sheffield, and I'm Brandon.insertcredit.com on Blue Sky.
Ooh, fancy.
Because I got the URL, but I realized it's so long. It's really long. But we also have insertcredit.com on there. We got necrosoftgames.com on there. It's cool how you can verify yourself that way.
We got a guest on this episode, an old favorite friend of ours, back on the show to talk about monsters and romance and romancing monsters. We may just have the second horniest person on the history of our program. Merritt K is here.
How dare you, sir? I have maintained a chaste brand that I have maybe besmirched with one game about kissing vampires, and now I'm the second horniest person. That is character assassination. And also, you have to really get on the .com. I mean, it's the wave of the future. I've been telling everyone I think it's going to be really big. .com. And on Blue Sky specifically. Great website. Love it. Don't have 60-year-old Facebook X users yelling at me every day. Fantastic experience all around.
It's real good. I'm enjoying it so far. We'll see what happens when the venture capitalists swoop in. It's happening. They're evaluating. It's going through rounds. So get ready to figure out how Mastodon works.
No.
Wait, quick question. Who's number one?
Me.
It's
Ash.
No, by far.
Yeah.
By far.
Okay. Wow.
It's
okay.
Ash.
I feel like there's probably people in between me and Ash.
No,
Like,
we don't allow them.
Not on this podcast.
Right.
We don't allow
okay.
them.
So relatively speaking, but it's
Yes.
like
You are not the second horniest person in the world.
right. Just on this podcast,
Just
and
on this-
just by virtue of having made this thing that is
Yeah.
that in that realm. But okay.
Of people in the family.
I appreciate when Jaffe said you were the second horniest person, that your how dare was it, I should be the first. It was like, I should not be horny at
No,
all. I appreciate that.
There's
Yeah.
never been a horny me, and never horny shall I be. And if this horny vow I break, I pray the Lord my soul to
My
take.
horny take.
To quote Drill. But
I was going to say, like, you sound like you were raised in one of them evangelical houses, because
No.
that sounds like some shit that got down at the Family Christian Center I used to go to when I was a kid.
now that is a Drill tweet who, a famous Twitter user, for anyone who hasn't been on Twitter in the last 20 years, who people tried to bully Drill off Blue Sky for not being funny.
For being mean to sex workers, I think it
When
was.
people were trying to stake out their claims on Blue Sky in the early days, it's like, I'm the new
Yeah.
power user. Drill's not funny. You should follow me instead. That was pretty embarrassing for
Yeah.
everyone involved.
Oh, blue sky elders. Let's not talk about them.
Let's not.
I want to talk about video games. Or rather, I want to introduce a video game prompt and then hear you talk about video games. That's how
idea.
this show works. Ash, you've been pretty nuts about AGDQ this week, right?
Yeah.
I want to ask you guys about that. If you had to pitch and then compete in a gimmicky AGDQ event, what would it be?
A gimmicky AGDQ event or a gimmicky AGDQ run?
Like playing Super Mario Brothers with your head while playing the piano.
That's a run. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But also there's a gimmick.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Should just for the sake of the question, or should we pretend that we have the inherent skill that we're making up?
You're going to have to train for the event you pitch.
Oh God.
Okay, I got it. I'm gonna train my dog to play Elden Ring.
Ooh.
Okay. What does that mean? Because we've seen the limitations of Peanut Butter the dog.
Have we?
No, you know what? I don't know. That's you're right. I was really unfair to Peanut Butter. Just that we don't know that we've seen the upper echelon of Peanut Butter's skill set.
Yeah.
You're right.
And why do you assume that my dog cannot transcend whatever his limits are?
Because your dog's a dumb puppy.
Spec'd into beauty. He's too beautiful. He dumped stat charisma and his dex is too low.
My dog is named for the warhorse of Alexander the Great. He can do whatever the fuck he wants, or I train him to.
Peanut butter?
No, but my dog, Bucephalus.
Oh, who's peanut butter?
Peanut Butter is the famous dog speedrunner that has made, I believe, 2 GDQ appearances so far. If I remember right, it was not Stack Up. What was the other one? Gyromite.
Yes, Gyromite and Ken Griffey Jr. baseball.
Yes. By the way, I just want to recommend that run specifically,
Yeah.
especially of the two. Like watching Peanut Butter get a grand slam and the entire room just exploding in joy.
Gyromite is just like him. It would just be the dog stepping on the button and stepping off it,
Yes.
right? That's
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, that's what he did for Ken Griffey Jr. But like, yeah, I remember that moment. Tears in my eyes. Just I'm being fully serious because that was, I think, a year after my other corgi passed away, and I was just like, I love this so much. I am so emotional. Like I'm literally like, haha, while tears are like falling down my face. And then like, a couple months later, I get a dog.
Is that why? So you could train it to speedrun?
Right.
No.
What is your dog doing in Elden Ring? How does this work?
I'm going to train him to hit the complex suite of buttons it takes to defeat Melania.
Whoa.
He's named after a horse, so obviously he's double jumping.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You actually have to train for this, right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
I feel like I could do it. The limiting factor for this is building the controller setup that can handle all the inputs.
Yeah.
Like if people are out here getting ready to play Elden Ring with the saxophone, which I'm pretty sure is a run during this year's AGDQ, I'm pretty sure I could teach a dog how to strafe or how to, I don't know, do some move or dodge a waterfowl dance. I think I could do it.
Are you prompting or is the dog just doing it?
I'm prompting.
Like, let's be realistic
All right, okay.
here.
Yeah,
Well,
come on,
you have
The
Frank.
dog
wheel
is
so
magic.
far.
It's a well-trained dog, but it's like the laws of nature still apply, right?
Don't be ridiculous. Frank.
We're talking about a dog training to beat a video game. Don't be absurd.
I'm sorry.
Do you have an event that you'd like to propose and then run?
Yeah, I do. I'm focusing on the I actually have to do it part. Okay.
Mhm.
And I don't really want to train to be a speedrunner because I know what it takes. And so therefore I know better. So here's what I'm going to propose. Alf on the Sega Master System. Hear me out.
Okay.
I'm not going to beat the game. I'm going to go what I'm going to call the any percent run. In Alf on the Sega Master System, it's vaguely sort of a puzzle going on, like an inventory management puzzle and also a platform game. Both of them are terrible, both parts of this. And you are acquiring money to buy the items that you need to get past the whatevers. I don't even remember. But there's one shop that sells a book. And it's like, and I believe, if I'm remembering right, it's like an Alf hint book. And if you buy it, it auto game overs you. It says something like, it just has some like glib text from the developers and then it kicks you back to the title screen. I'm calling that an any percent ending.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the Alf book run. And it takes about 2 minutes.
I want to propose something else for you, Frank.
Okay.
You are in a very unique position in video game culture to have in your possession an unreleased game that nobody else has.
Oh, sure.
By virtue of that access, your first run of that game will be the world record speed run of that game.
You mean like this one right here?
Exactly.
Yeah, similar to that.
Interesting conversation I was having the other day as we were watching this Mario speedrun where the guy was playing piano while he controlled Mario with his head and his feet. And I was like, I wonder if speedrunning, we've reached like the plateau where it's harder to get times to go down and down and down. So the way to stay relevant or interesting is to come up with as many weird ass gimmicks as possible in order to secure the world record for that like weird category. And I'm like wondering, like, is that why this person decided that I'm just gonna play New Super Mario Brothers Wii while playing the piano, and since nobody else can do like skill set, like I'll just be world record holder and I'll be unchallenged for the rest of my life.
We're out of time. Real quick, Brandon or Merritt, do you have pitches?
Yeah. So it's a very specific setup, but I want to run because I think it would be fun. Just the first stage of Sonic and Knuckles, but with 20 stacked Knuckleses, 20 stacked carts. And part of the speed run is I have to get to the title screen each time I put one in. So I put in a next Knuckles. I've got to get to the title screen. Then I can reset and put in the next.
Sonic and Knuckles 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 speed run.
Yes.
Thank you.
Did you count?
I did.
Good.
Wow.
Very good.
Merritt, what's your pitch?
Star Control 3, any percent. I think my world record is like 5 weeks, 3 days, which is the world record because no one else but me has ever finished Star Control 3. And no one ever will, because why the fuck would you?
The Frank tactic. Very nice. All right. It's been long enough, and we've got some authorities here on the show today for this forum. It's time for us to resume our ongoing investigation of monster fucking. What are the popular games within this community, and are there subcategories we need to delineate?
I mean,
I don't think this is for me, so.
No. No, Frank, I want your thoughts here.
Is Sonic a monster?
Is Sonic a monster? Great question.
Thank you.
When he's a werehog, I would say yes.
All right.
That's a fantastic answer to a great question.
Yeah.
Well, that's the only time I want to fuck him, so.
So like it's either furry or monster depending on time of day.
Where does furry cross into monster?
There's definitely some overlap, I would say.
There's some, but it feels like a Venn diagram of
a wolf is a furry. A werewolf is a monster.
But there are people who like werewolves, but then they wouldn't say, I want to get with this guy who is a wolf all the time.
Yeah, all wolf and furries look like werewolves, basically, because they're walking on their hind legs.
No, I think there's a humanity to them.
The most popular werewolf fiction on like Amazon in the past 10 years has been stuff where the guy never even turns into a wolf. He's just like vaguely bestial. It's called shifter fiction. And like, so that's a whole other thing is like, is that a monster? Is a guy who theoretically could turn into a wolf a monster? Maybe if you're a coward, I guess. But
yeah, I'm a monster fucker purist. Like, no anthropomorphized dude, but he's just a little extra hairy. Like, no, give me eldritch horror. Be thou not afraid, biblically accurate angel monster fucking. 4
limbs is either too many or not enough.
Exactly. To answer the furry or monster question, I think there's a level of anthropomorphization that has to be considered with that. Like the more anthropomorphized and humanized these animal creatures are, the more it's like furry and not monster, and the less they have those characteristics, it's monster.
I think there needs to be a threat that it could kill you, and Sonic wouldn't kill you.
What if he was a werehog? He might do it.
That's the exception I already carved out, yes. Knuckles wouldn't, though.
Shadow might kill you.
No, Shadow would never. Shadow loves women.
Shadow has killed people, though, canonically, like with a gun.
Yeah, cops.
Could do it. You're so quick with that. Like, yeah, you know what? I do have to admit that that's true. I see we're all connoisseurs of Shadow the Hedgehog.
Sure.
The game.
I got sick watching Sonic the Hedgehog 3 the week it came out.
Sure.
I'm still recovering from that.
See, I feel like there's so many people screaming right now, like, obviously it's this visual novel. Obviously it's this. And I'm like, I honestly have not played a lot of these, probably.
And there's so many layers to this, because you've obviously got your standard like your Baldur's Gate, right?
Mhm.
And God, what like one of the things that sticks out to me is like in the canon is like Undertale.
Is a skeleton a monster? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's in the monster manual. It's a monster.
Yeah, they are defined as monsters. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, skeletons are monsters.
People really wanted to have sex with that little skeleton.
They Tumblr sexy
Like,
man.
It's
yeah.
crazy.
I didn't know that.
How badly that people wanted to have
yeah.
sex with that little skeleton. And like, I never played Undertale. It's like a blank spot in my whatever. But man, I do know that people really, really wanted to just give it to that little skeleton.
Like I can understand that, but even within the context of being a monster fucker, like Sans does not have the riz required, at least for me, to be attractive. Like, people find sexy competent, like competent sexy, like that kind of stuff. And
Not on Tumblr.
yeah.
He's a Tumblr sexy man. Yeah.
He is. Sans has a little bit of that, but like that's about it. That one I don't understand, but I know it's there.
He's hiding his pain through humor. That's the appeal.
Oh yeah, he's hiding it in his humorous. That's about.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that
Very nice, Brad.
that skeleton boobs lady. You remember the lady who has the skeleton boobs and the high heeled bone feet?
No.
I'll have to find it. It was like in some concept art for a game, and then there was a big backlash about it because of how stupid it was. But it was like they put bone boobs on a skeleton and bone high heels.
That honestly sounds like something Frank Quitely would do for Thanos' girlfriend.
Oh yeah, Lady Death.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we've done some good work here. It's something to think
Have we?
about until
Have we? I feel like we haven't
Did
said
we?
any of the games.
I feel like we completely dodged talking
Yeah.
about it.
Baldur's Gate, even, I don't know, they're all basically just guys or like
Yeah.
ladies. Like they're all pretty much normal. I don't know. Are there like, I'm sure there are lots of like porno games, but
What's that one porn game from like 4chan Love for forever ago, like Princess something, where it's got all these different like princesses or monster girls, and you've got a slime girl, and you've got a bee girl, and you've got a spider girl.
wait,
Does anyone know what
is
I'm
it
talking
a
about?
game or an anime?
Yeah. No, it's a game.
Oh,
Do not
I
know.
don't know.
Oh, I am revealing too much of my power level.
Yeah.
Right?
There have been some recently that are just like, what if Cthulhu was kind of sexy? But I feel like those sit in this weird territory for me where, having not played them and so judging based on nothing, they seem like that kind of winking, like, Western visual novel thing, like, haha, but we're all more clever than this, right? Like, it's like KFC, like, what if you were dating Colonel Sanders, but like, what if Cthulhu was like a sexy lady, maybe?
Okay. I figured out the game everyone's yelling into their
what is it?
MP3 players right now. The game everybody's yelling about is Lady Dimitrescu in Resident Evil Village.
Oh, but
that's
she's
just
just
a
a tall lady.
Yeah,
She
Yeah.
transforms into a monster.
Oh, I never played it. Do people care about that part?
They do.
I don't think they do. Oh, they do?
She turns
No,
into like a monster hunter monster.
She's got Freddy Krueger claws.
Well, I've never seen that on social media, so it doesn't count.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
fair enough.
The sexiest
point.
moment of Lady Dimitrescu is when she picks up that huge gilded dresser and hurls it across the room. Like
Yeah.
that's the moment. It's when she's like big lady, not when she's big monster.
Hmm.
And there will be some
Fair.
people who are like, no, give me the monster too, but few and far between.
I think further research is needed. I'm going to end
Yes.
this like literally every research paper when I was in academia. Further research is needed on this
All right.
subject.
I think we have covered some good ground in delineating the difference between a furry and a monster fucker. So we are making progress. But as I said at the beginning of this season, this will be an ongoing investigation. Here's my next question. What tricks do video games do to convince players that they're much bigger than they actually are?
The classic one, I forget who said this. I think it was a guy who worked on Banjo-Kazooie or something. The classic one is putting a door or a window that doesn't go anywhere. Like you put a window out into space and you immediately just like are imagining what's out there. I wish I could remember who said this because it like impacted me so hard when I read this, like, decades ago, and was like, oh wow, yeah, that's so true. That's like, and people will try to get out there and sometimes they'll, boundary break or whatever to do it. But the problem is if you do it badly, it's just frustrating. And so there's this like really narrow line of like, is this creating more imagination or is this just like, I want to go out there and I can't, what the hell?
We're talking about making the games feel bigger than they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the
Right.
question was like you, the player, but is it the game, the world?
Yeah, the
The
developer.
world.
Oh, I misunderstood. Great.
Yeah, I heard that too, but I was trying to find the skeleton boobs image, and so I was like, maybe I'm not listening properly. But well, one of the big things is when you have a static camera, you can have corners that you can't look around, and so we got that in Demon School. You see that kind of stuff in the Resident Evils and the Final Fantasy VIIs and things like that, where you got these backgrounds and there's like stuff out there, but you can't see what it is. But I think another way to make a world feel bigger than it is to have other characters going about their business without you, so that you can imagine that the world would persist even if you weren't there as the player.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that with Persona specifically, with all the crowds like walking through Shibuya and all that stuff.
Yeah, the Yakuza games.
Majora's Mask.
Speech bubbles of people like having conversations off in the distance and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like in the Yakuza games, for example, there are buildings you can go into and buildings you can't go into. But sometimes there's a special event where you can go into this building that you couldn't go into before.
And it's like, it turns out that was a real place.
Yeah, so it makes you think like, where else is there stuff inside that I could get to if only I had the right access? And of course, in actual development terms, you're not really going inside that building. You're opening a door and then you're entering into a different room entirely that got loaded in. But sometimes they do actually unlock like a stairwell that was locked before, and now you can actually go up and you can really go inside that building. You can go on top of it. And all that kind of stuff it just makes you wonder what else there could be. Like the first time in the first Yakuza where you're able to go into the sewer, it's like, oh, you can also go under the world. That's cool. It's neat to give the player the idea that there's more. Those are some of the ways.
So the most memorable experience I had along those lines growing up is like, someone who was still really impressionable with games, didn't really see behind it. Can't remember. I think it was Leisure Suit Larry 2.
Okay.
Okay.
Hear me out. This has nothing to do with the core premise of a Leisure Suit Larry game. This has nothing to do with trying to shag non-monsters. But there's a section in the game where you have to go somewhere by air, and you make your way into the airport, and you make your way up to the ticket counter. And this is still from the era where you typed in your responses. Mm-hmm. So at the ticket counter for the airport, the person asks, where do you want a ticket to? And you have to type it in. And like, I didn't genuinely believe I could go anywhere, but there was a part of me that was like, I could type anywhere I want right now, and it was like, and it would sell me a ticket to that place. Mm-hmm. And like, that was, I don't know, that was very impressionable on me, that illusion of there actually being a real world and not like a series of rooms in that game.
Yeah, those text games could actually do a lot of that if they had funny, clever responses to your stuff. But also that Dwarf Fortress and the like, just with all of its emergent stuff, it's hard to imagine what might not be able to happen in a game like that, where like, your children's descendants can get addicted to looking at paintings, and then it means that they never close up their gates because they're admiring a Venus de Milo or whatever. Just like all kinds of weird nonsense can go on in that. So, but that's like the actual promise of limited infinity, I guess.
I have another weird example.
Okay.
This is one of my favorite lines of dialogue in any video game, and it's an incredibly deep cut. It's a game that didn't come out, and it's a terrible title for a game. It's for the NES. It's called Bashy Bazook Morphoid Masher. I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't know.
You said it was going to be a bad title, Frank.
Bashy Bazook.
It was named, Brandon, you know this person. It was named by Michael Myers of Michael Myers PR when he worked at Jalico.
Oh, man.
So he explained it to me once. I'm going to have to get him to explain it to me again. But anyway, it's a 2D, you're a guy with a sword, vaguely sort of Metroid-y, but contained within stages, in that there's branching paths or stuff you could miss, etc. And you go into rooms sometimes, and there's a person in the room who talks to you. And so you're near the boss of stage 1, and you go into this room toward the end, and they kind of they tell you a little bit about the boss. The boss is just at the top of this elevator that's right next to this room, right? And the person, I don't have the exact dialogue in front of me, but the person says something like, take the elevator, we're still mopping the stairs. There are no stairs in this game, right? But like, and this world is weird and does not seem inhabited by anything but weird monsters that just sit in rooms waiting for you. But that one line of dialogue is like, oh man, like the concept of filth exists. The concept of like janitors exist, like the concept of there being rooms with stairs that you can't get to is something that like all of that's in this line. That one line just made that world come alive and is also really funny.
Also, monsters just being in their rooms waiting for you ties back to an earlier question that we were talking.
That's true.
Yep.
All right. I have another question for you guys. As has become insert credit tradition for the first normal episode of the year, which we're recording now, we like to dip into what's become public domain in the United States and pick something to adapt into a video game. So today we're going to take this rare opportunity to do something that nobody has ever done before. We're going to make a Popeye video game.
What?
How do you do that?
Wait, is he being facetious, Frank? Or have there been Popeye video
There
games?
have
There have been many Popeye
There have been a
videos.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of them was called Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Donkey Kong started as a Popeye game.
No shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Think
News
about
to
it.
me.
That's Bluto up there. That's olive oil
Yep.
getting rescued.
Huh.
There's also a pretty terrible Popeye game that came out like 2 or 3 years ago, I think.
Yeah, on the Switch.
On the Switch, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was quite notable for its terribleness.
Yeah.
Well, how do you do it?
First of all, I want to point out that yes, Popeye is public domain as of this year. Olive oil has been public domain for like 4 or 5 years, and
That's
nobody's
correct.
done nothing with that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, she ain't got no titties and no ass, so that's why.
So is she a monster?
No, because even
No.
skeletons got boobs. We've established this,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, she doesn't have a skeleton. I guess we're not going to address whether anybody wants a Popeye game. We're
No,
just
we're making
gonna
one, whether they want it or not.
make it whether they want it or not. Okay. Yeah. So, well, you got your. What do you have? You got big forearms.
Arm get big when eat spinach.
You
Yeah.
got spinach.
That part's not public domain
That part's
yet.
not public domain
Oh,
yet.
Well, then what are we doing here?
There are aspects of the character
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
that
It's like
are
Mickey
not.
Mouse. Yeah.
It is.
Make that make sense to me.
Well,
Okay, I'll make it make sense. So the thing that's in the public domain are the specific comic strips from the series Gasoline Alley that
Mhm.
Popeye appeared in. Gasoline Alley was a comic strip about the oil family. And about 4 or 5 years into the strip, a side character named Popeye appeared for the first time and became the most popular character in the
The
He's the
Steve
Steve
Urkel of
Urkel.
his day.
Right, yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
The only things we have the rights to are the aspects of the character as he was at that time.
Mhm.
We can make new aspects, but if they are aspects of that character that could be argued to have been introduced later, such as the spinach eating thing introduced by the Fleischer cartoon studio in the cartoons, then it could be argued that that part is not public domain and they could sue you.
Oh, so it's a Steamboat Willie versus Mickey Mouse kind of deal.
Yes.
Yes.
Got it.
well, I'm feeling like we should do a weird sailing, fishing, trawling game.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm into it.
He is a sailor man.
What if he gets super strong when he eats kale?
Yeah, I feel like that might be too close.
I haven't read these in a really long time, but my memory of early Popeye is he's just a grumpy sailor who, you know,
Yeah.
you can charter his boat.
Right.
He's
Yeah.
just grumpy.
Well, we can do whatever we want. So I
Yeah.
kind of feel like I've been wanting more games where you kill Nazis lately for no
Yeah.
reason, and I feel like we could just put Popeye in World War II and have him man a gunboat.
Let's be clear. If it's Popeye, they're Nazis.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
What's the deal with the most popular cartoon characters of the 1920s being boatmen?
I think naval power
Mm.
was
Yeah.
the big thing
Yeah.
at that time. Like air power had a few more years to go before.
And of course, Sea Power wouldn't release a seminal record until,
Yeah.
the 2000s. So,
Right.
and Cat Power, I mean, that's a
Cat
whole
power.
different conversation.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Desert Power doesn't come up until,
Right.
20,000 years later with Paul Atreides.
Yeah.
So.
Right, of
Mhm.
course.
Yeah, so it was all about sea power at the
Yeah,
time.
boat stuff. Also, those older comics are so weird because I, for some reason, was looking up Blondie recently, and I was
Mhm.
like, why is it called Blondie if Dagwood is like the main character? And it's like he wasn't for
No,
like most of
he
it.
Popeyed it.
He Popeyed it. So like
Yeah.
Popeye Popeyed it too. And what
That
is it
happened
with
with
like all
Nancy
these
also.
with Nancy?
Yeah, Nancy was a part of like Fritzy's Follies or something like that.
Okay, but
Yeah,
I
that's
can
right.
get behind Nancy because that's a woman standing up for herself, like and getting her own strip. In these
Yeah.
in Popeye and Dagwood, they're taking over the strip of Blondie or Olive Oil. So
Well, it wasn't olive oil. It was the oil family,
Oh,
and she
okay,
was
well.
like one of the least remarkable of them, honestly.
well, then fuck them. Then great, I love Popeye. Then so what is he doing?
I mean,
He's
fuck
sailing.
big oil,
he's,
right?
He's fighting.
He's,
Yeah.
he's fighting Nazis in his boat.
He's doing one of those big wind-up punches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's patented. Sorry.
That's
Yeah.
He can't do an uppercut. He cannot execute an uppercut.
No, our Popeye kicks.
He's in a boat, but it's like just his head is popping out of the boat. Let's just kind of start there, right? And like, you can move around as the boat and shoot, but at any time he can jump out of the boat to do like air attacks and like punch.
You know what it
in the
should
air.
be like? It should be like Rocket Slime Adventures, where except boats instead of giant robots. He can shoot himself out of a cannon onto another boat, kick the hell out of the Nazis on that boat, steal their stuff, and walk back to or swim back to his boat.
Can we call it Rocket Slime Adventures?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I don't know. That might also be a Fleischer problem.
His speech impediments are copyright Fleischer Studios, which is copyright something. Who owns Fleischer Studio?
Oh, that's me.
Paramount at some point, at least.
Okay.
Almost certainly.
Yeah. I know there was a big dispute with them taking over the Superman shorts, which I only have 12 seconds left, so I can't really get into.
It's weird that they call it Paramount when there's only one mountain in their logo.
Yeah, where's the other mount?
Where's the other mount?
We'll go to a break.
You fucking nerds.
We'll be right back.
That's my main concern with them too.
Fuck off, Brandon.
Just how it goes.
Welcome back to Insert Credit. It's time for us to go to the question hole. This is the part of every episode where one of our lucky, insightful, and incisive patrons at patreon.com/insertcredit gets their question answered on the show. You can participate by becoming one of those patrons by going to said link, kicking us a couple bucks a month. You get some bonus episodes for your trouble, all other kinds of satisfying surprises. This week's question comes from a small rabite who asks one of my favorite kinds of questions, a mom question. Small rabite asks, this question is from my mom. Why are there so many deserts in video games? Every time I see you playing one of these things, you're in a desert.
No trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's an easy landscape to make.
Yeah.
Good place to fight wars in the 90s, according to our government. So there's
not just the 90s. I mean,
let's just
also like
keep going.
I guess a slightly less cynical answer is it's an environment that a lot of people playing video games probably don't have a ton of experience with. And so it feels more like alien and exciting. And historically, that's true of like movies and stuff as well, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people watching movies who live in, the West, I guess, except Vegas or like Nevada or whatever, or parts of Texas, like don't have a ton of experience with deserts. So it's like, oh, it's kind of a cool, different place to go have a video game adventure.
Cowboys, people like.
That's true.
Americans have a long history of looking at cowboys.
Cowboys do not belong to the desert biome. They belong to the grasslands biome. Very
I don't know.
Different, distinct.
I don't know. Those spaghetti westerns, there's a lot of desert. Desert
listen,
in those.
I'm from Las Vegas, okay? I'm the expert here.
Yeah, you grew up in the barren wastelands.
So you just look out at the horizon and you just see like nothing but like tan color and like a really angry sun like twirling around.
Yeah.
It's really awful.
And that like swoops down at you as you're trying to get to the power block. Yeah.
I will say that in Las Vegas, Western wear is a very big thing. There are Western wear stores that are very large. My mom worked in a casino and like once a year it was Western wear day. Big deal. All the employees just dress like cowboys. So there's something there.
Is that specific to the desert or specific to the West?
I don't know.
Western style's coming back too.
Because you're west of the Rockies more than anything.
But
Are you west of the Rockies? I'm not sure.
Yes,
I don't know.
We're west of most things. I'm now in California, which is even more west than Vegas, and I'd never seen a cowboy here.
Come to my neighborhood. There's cowboys everywhere. I can walk to 3 Western wear stores.
Wow. Okay.
Hey,
Yeah.
You know why there are so many video game deserts?
Because games are made in California.
Because we chop down all the video game trees to put in our skill menu. That's right.
And our video game strip malls, which are microtransactions.
We got all this. Yeah. Got to get our skill trees from somewhere,
Took me a second.
I'm going to say that at least for old games, like,
we'll be right back.
There's only so many ways to reskin block tiles. To look like different places.
Yeah.
So at least in the old days, it was like, there's only so many environments. It's like cold, green, desert, water,
industrial.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my guess is the real answer is the mom keeps walking in by happenstance when it's a desert biome, because
they're supposed to do that during the sex scene.
That's right, which is what they usually would do.
When you're on the sex planet in
Yeah, mom didn't walk in during the forest biome, just didn't happen.
World 6 Stage 9,
Yeah, I think the problem is that the only game a small rabite plays is Dune 2.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, well. All right.
Okay.
We've
They
answered
can all
that.
be bangers.
All right.
What is the Radiohead of video game?
It depends on what we think of Radiohead.
So I'll see you guys later.
No, I'm counting.
No, we want
because
your
my answer was
perspective on
going to
this.
be, what? So you mean something that my like cool into electronic music friend always tried me to get into when I was a kid, and I always thought it sounded like work to listen to.
Yeah, exactly like that. And Ash, from your perspective, a thing only white people care about.
The thing only white people care about in video games.
What is it?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm going to sit and ruminate on that one for a
Okay,
bit.
please.
Yeah,
It's got to be the thing that like all the tastemakers don't shut up about, right?
Yeah.
but only a certain kind of tastemaker, because
Yeah.
like a really basic type of
A
tastemaker.
basic tastemaker, a medium level tastemaker.
Like the person who's like, Blue Bottle is the best coffee, and it's the like the only place they've been that wasn't a Starbucks.
So I'll say that like in like the PS2 days, basic tastemaker was Eco and Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh, good one.
Yeah.
Those are great
Yeah.
answers.
That is not a slam against those games. I like
No,
that.
absolutely.
But that's
Yeah.
basic tastemaker.
Yes,
Yeah, I think
exactly
that's
the
right.
same level.
There was that or Katamari.
No.
I don't know. Not Katamari. That's a little too deep and weird for your average.
No,
Like Radiohead, man. They're deep.
no, I
all
think
the reviewers were
Katamari
into it.
had a broad appeal.
Like it's a shallow person's idea of what deep is, maybe.
Well, I'd say Katamari is playful and Radiohead
Yeah.
is not.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
it has to be kind of gazy.
Yeah, a little more depressed.
All the sad dad games. Anyway, the answer to the question as it relates to me, the thing that only white people care about in video games, petting the dog.
That's surprising coming from you, our biggest dog fan.
Love dogs. Love dogs. I do not give a shit if I cannot pet the dog. Like not a thing. Like I don't care.
Real
because
dog.
I have a real dog. And I grew up with we all did. We're all of a certain age, but I grew up with like Tomb Raider where you shot dogs. I don't hold dogs. And we've
You
had this
shot the
conversation. Yeah. Yeah. We've had these conversations in the past, but like how dogs became like enemies in video games and then became sacrosanct. And I just was not there for that shift. And I don't give a shit about that shift. And I don't want anything bad to happen to dogs anymore.
I never liked shooting dogs in video
Has
games.
anyone
Yeah.
done can you shoot the dog Twitter? Because it's right
Ooh.
there.
Yeah,
That's
Well, I think on
That's
actual
a-
Twitter, it just became that.
Yeah, that is.
that's what Twitter.
That's every Twitter now.
No, yeah, Twitter is just people arguing that they should be allowed to shoot
Yeah.
dogs in real life constantly.
Oh, no, it's not. It's the absolute opposite. It's you are not a person if you do not like afford dogs like this reverence. Like I deeply remember and is ingrained in my memory, like conversations about the civil rights movements and, showing images of the police dogs getting sicked on protesters and be like, oh, don't blame the dogs. It's not their fault. And meanwhile, I'm like, I am shooting this dog. I don't care. All cops are bastards, including police dogs.
Mhm.
Like tools of the state. I understand that they don't know what they're doing, but like, no, I don't know.
This is why we absolve Shadow the Hedgehog.
This dog, look, the dog's just, oh, you're just doing your job. Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, right.
Dogs.
Yeah.
All right, dogs. You've had it.
Yeah.
Look, dogs, you've had it too good for too long.
Hitler's dog was just following orders.
We're going to knock dogs down a peg here, all right? We should
Yeah.
start this. We should.
I say
Poor
this
dogs.
as a lover of dogs. Like it just annoys the shit out of me when
It's
we
a little
have,
cloying, yeah.
Yeah, when we hold like these animals,
And it is obviously like there are,
higher
there's
than
people,
humans. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
Let's not do this, please.
Okay, I'm happy with that answer.
Anyway, so what's the Radiohead?
yeah,
Oh, I think
Well,
it's
yeah,
Eco
can
and
we do
Shadow.
better
There's
than-
dogs.
No, I don't. I
petting
think
the
Eco.
dogs.
Yeah, it's Fumito Ueda games, right? Fumito
Yeah.
Ueda is the
Mm.
Radiohead of video.
that sounds right. All right, I want to take us to our lightning round. We're playing GameFAQ&As. This is the game where I take questions submitted on different message boards that you can still find on GameFAQs.com, specified for each video game. Usually I take it from one game in particular. This time I've taken a smattering from throughout message boards for various Castlevania games for a segment that I am calling Draskula. These are all questions people have about the character Count Dracula as he appears in Castlevania, and we're going to answer each of these questions as best as we can in as little time as we can. Question number 1. Why do I have to attack Dracula's head?
That's a good question. It should be his heart with a stake. Doesn't make sense.
It should, right?
Maybe to break his fangs off. That's the best answer I can come up with.
That's good.
He's actually just a little tiny head with little legs and stuff, and the rest of that is just a mannequin that he's standing on.
That's it. Yeah, that's the only Dracula.
I saw that Nosferatu in theaters, and that's exactly what happened.
That's
yeah,
what
the rest is
that's
just
about.
rats.
Yep. Yeah.
How to get Dracula's tunic?
Is this going back to that first question again?
Might be.
Yeah, just ask him
Attack the
nicely.
head.
You have to
Yeah,
offer
just-
him something that he wants more.
Free market. Yeah, it's an exchange. You know?
Yeah.
Give him something nicer.
$20. Can you cure Dracula?
Wow, does he want to be cured? Did you ever ask him? Like,
Yeah.
maybe he likes being a Dracula.
Is he sick?
Yeah, he's got vampirism, Frank.
Like, that's really offensive. What, we're gonna send Dracula to like conversion therapy now? Like,
Yeah.
this is,
No, it's the I can fix him
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say.
or maybe they're asking, can you make like a dried meat out of Dracula?
Oh,
Oh,
cure
yeah.
Dracula.
Ooh, I'm into it.
Yeah,
Is
sure.
he still alive if you cure
Dracula
him?
jerky.
Right, yeah. Is that food? Are strips of Dracula flesh still
You got to
alive?
put a lot of garlic in that rub.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
What are the souls to get to be Dracula?
I know the unironic answer to this question.
Spell souls.
S-O-U-L-S.
Yeah, S-O-U-L-S. I actually know the answer to this question.
Oh, yeah. What are they?
What are the souls to get to be Dracula?
They are the flame demon, giant bats, and succubus, I want to say.
Nerd!
Like, Aria of Sorrow is one of my favorite games of all time, okay?
Is Dracula even in this game?
No.
Yeah, you just haven't found him yet. You got to keep looking.
Like,
Yeah, you're playing a Portrait of Ruin. The answer is no.
like deadass. When was the last time that you had to fight Dracula outside of like Symphony of the Night? Like, when has Dracula straight up been the final boss of a Castlevania game after like the NES Castlevania games? Because I don't think there's that many, right?
Not often.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to correct myself there. Dracula does appear in Portrait of Ruin. Please don't yell at me in the comments.
No, it's
saying-
okay. The question was about the game Lords of Shadow, which Dracula is not in. Yeah.
One of the many problems with that game.
What are Dracula's game over screen quotes?
Let us go out into the night for pleasure.
Ooh.
I want a quote from each of you.
20 minutes, unskippable cutscene.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a quote from like the Joker standing over Batman in one of the Arkham games.
That is exactly what I was thinking about.
Yeah, I just can't think of it.
Looks like the joke's on you, Patsy. Something of that variety.
Someone finish him off. It's
Yeah.
the only one I remember.
All right. Final question. Why does Dracula drink blood at the start to survive, or just not let himself get killed if he wanted to die?
What?
I don't understand it.
I was
I was
thinking about
very
the last
clear.
one.
How
Still,
is
sorry.
Babby formed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How is Dracula formed?
Am
Yeah.
I pregnant?
Am I pregnant?
The way in Stain Dracula's, it's a real
Yeah.
problem.
All right.
Well, hang on. Before you go, I partially thought of one of the Joker quotes from one of the games. It was from Arkham Knight. And in Arkham Knight, spoilers, Joker's dead, but he's in your head. So you have like a spectral Joker following you around.
He's in all our heads, man.
And he's like very funny.
Yeah.
And there's a game over quote when you're dead and he's standing over you, and he knows who you are because he's in your head. He knows you're Bruce Wayne. And he says something to you about joining mommy and daddy in the country club in the sky,
Oh.
Pretty good.
which I really like. So that is a Dracula game over quote. He mocks you about joining mommy and daddy in the country club in the sky.
All right.
Tangentially related, and Jaffe will appreciate this, but my favorite like quote about Batman is when in Batman Beyond when he's talking to Terry and Terry's like, why weren't you crazy? Like, why didn't you go crazy? It's like, I don't call myself Bruce Wayne in my head. And I thought that was like so fucking cool.
Yeah, good moment in a show that honestly, most of those episodes are not great.
How dare you?
That's the show. I am giving the win this week to Frank Cifaldi for correctly identifying the Radiohead of video games.
Yes.
You get your third credit. To remind everyone where we're at, Brandon has 1 because he just spent 4 credits on making us all play Knuckles Chaotix. Ash has 4 credits, which she can dispense whenever she likes. And Frank, you're up to 3.
Nice.
Ash, are you planning to make a move just yet?
When I do, you will know.
All right. In that case, I am going to ask our guest about the video game she just made. Merritt, you made a video game. What the hell?
Yeah, I mean, it's a visual novel, so purists will...
Oh, never mind. Anyway.
This episode's over. Flush it. Flush it.
Yeah, it's a visual novel, and I didn't just make it. I made it with 2 of my friends, Shade and LB Hung Tears, and we made a little
Hung
studio.
Tears? That's cool.
Yeah. We made a little studio called In Secret Places, and you can just say you have a game studio. No one can take that from you. And we did, and we made a game, and it's called Fledgling Manor, and it's a visual novel about a vampire reality show. I talked about it last time I was on, but it wasn't out yet, and it is out now. So we did release it at possibly the worst time we could have, which is in mid-December of 2024.
I've tried that. Doesn't work great.
It's not great, but we just wanted to kind of get it out and just get it, out of our brains, which was probably we should have waited a month or 2, but it's still doing pretty well. It has a very positive rating on Steam with 67 reviews.
Nice.
And we've gotten reviews from like players in China, which is really cool considering it's a visual novel that's just all in English. But people are like, oh, I had to translate some of these words, but this was really cool. And it's like, that's incredibly flattering that you took the time to do that. Like, thank you. And it's about a vampire reality show. You are a guy who has just become a vampire, and you have to survive this situation where you are in danger of getting voted off of the show, which in this case means that your head is cut off, which traditionally does kill a vampire forever.
Yeah, that's why you have to attack Dracula's head.
That's why you go for the head, yeah.
Right.
But people seem to be liking it. It's really a humbling experience to put something out and have people do fan art and fan fiction of it.
That's nice.
Oh, that's the best.
It's so
that
cool.
is the best.
It's
That's
such a power rush. Holy shit.
achievement.
You wrote something about these guys I invented. I'm God, basically. But we are working on, some little patch stuff just to address. It runs well. It runs great on Steam Deck. We're just going to put out some little tweaks and stuff, maybe add a little more art for some of the background characters. And then other stuff coming soon. We've started discussing our next project. It's definitely going to be a little more ambitious than a pretty linear visual novel. That's way off at this point. But it's going to be set in the same world too. So if you like that game, then there will be more kind of that coming soon.
That's exciting.
I have a question, Merritt. Why did you choose vampires? Because it seems like, Nosferatu aside, vampires in visual novel type games are having a bit of a moment. Because I'm thinking of there's a vampire dating sim, there's a vampire therapy simulation sim that I'm thinking of. And then there's also now your game. What is it with vampires right now that they're having their moment? What made you choose, okay, we're going to do this on vampires instead of werewolves or some other eldritch creature?
Yeah.
You can just say they're sexy and people like them. that is a valid answer.
I think for the idea of the reality show, vampires as a monster work the best because they are more about as a trope, they're more about kind of sex and intrigue and stuff than werewolves are, or than other monsters are. And also this is drawing from a lot of other stuff. One of the characters is actually a character that Hunktears played in a Vampire the Masquerade game that I ran a couple of years ago. And also the artist for the game, Shade, has these original characters, a couple of whom appear in the game, that are based on VTM stuff. So we kind of we're working from this base of Vampire the Masquerade, and then we're like changing enough that, you know, they don't say, hey, your vampire eats spinach. We're going to sue you for that.
I was going to say, it's interesting that Harley Quinn isn't in this game.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Harley Quinn from Bloodlines.
Right.
But, you know, I think it's just sort of a thing where we were all kind of like into the concept and took it from there. And I feel like every few years this happens in media. Like a few years ago, you had V Rising, Vampire Survivors, although that's not really about vampires. But there's like a new crop every few years. It's just such like a rich text, I guess, for people to draw on that it just makes sense that people are going to reinterpret it according to whatever is going on at the time.
Do you have a favorite vampire in
the game?
No,
or
just
in
like
general?
In general,
in
the
fiction.
vampire canon.
I mean, Soma Cruz is pretty cool.
Soma Cruz rules.
Yeah, I mean, when he gets the succubus soul, the flame demon soul, and the giant bat soul, he becomes Dracula. So.
Air horn sound effect. We got to drown that out. I don't know.
I really like the buffet on the Soma Cruise.
Yeah. Frank Cifaldi, if I hadn't awarded you the credit already, it would be yours. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to recommend?
I'm going to recommend the best Dracula game.
Yeah.
We were talking about Dracula. This is one where you play as Dracula. So I'm going to take you back to 1991.
Okay.
Oh,
Parker
no.
Brothers. Right?
Oh, no.
Board game
I was
company.
4.
I already know exactly where you're going with this.
You probably do, because you're a freak.
Because I'm a freak, yeah.
Parker Brothers, you know, they were in the video game industry in the early 80s. They got burned. Everyone did.
Mm-hmm.
But NES is out now. And they dabbled in the Master System a little bit. We don't talk about that. But they're like, okay, Nintendo's where it's at. We're going to get back in the video games. And 1991, they announced 3 games. One of them is called Heavy Shreddin'. It's a skiing game. I've never played it. Nothing to say about Heavy Shreddin'. Second game they announced, New Kids on the Block. New Kids on the Block, the video game. Designed by David Crane, the Pitfall guy.
Wow.
I talked to him about New Kids on the Block. He said it never entered development. He only ever had design stuff on paper, including meeting with the new kids who had terrible ideas. And the third game announced also never came out, but was completed. It's called Drax Night Out. This is a game where you play as Dracula, and this game is sponsored by Reebok. It's literally sponsored by the Reebok pump.
Oh, this is so
specifically.
Good. Of course Merritt knows this. This is some prime 1-900 hot dog shit right here.
Oh yeah. So the premise of the game is that you're just chilling in your castle, but villagers with like pitchforks are invading and trying to kill you. So it's a game about escaping your castle by setting off traps, and then also occasionally collecting Reebok Pump sneakers, which make you run faster and jump higher, as did real Reebok Pump sneakers.
Of course.
You do, when you incapacitate people, you drink their blood and kill them. They disappear from the world.
Oh, wow.
And then once you and your Reebok Pumps have escaped your castle, you go into town and you go into people's houses and you continue murdering them. And I don't know why this game didn't come out. Drax Night Out on the Nintendo
Drax Night Out, sponsored by Reebok. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, Reebok sponsored a game about drinking humans' bloods in their beds at night. Like you literally sneak in and just murder people in their sleep because you need some blood.
This is what the sneaker industry was dealing with before Michael Jordan.
Yeah, it was the best thing they could come up with was murdering.
Yeah. All right. Brandon, Ash, you got anything on the plate?
I'm probably going to come together with a list of these, but like I mentioned, I've been trying to watch, not trying to, I've been watching movies about Nazis getting blasted.
Kaboom.
And I'll put together a list of the good ones, but Inglourious Bastards was my starting point.
Have you seen Sisu?
I have. I found it to be fine. I don't want to crap on anybody's enjoyment of that movie, so I won't talk about it too much, but I found it to be okay. But if you've got additional suggestions, let me know.
There was Overlord or Over something that came
Overlord.
out like
I haven't watched it. I'm going to watch that one. I'll tell people the list that I got suggested. So see what we got here. Overlord, Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
That was such a fucking fun movie. That was fun. And the guy from Reacher is in it, and he's really big, and he's fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Guns of Navarone, that's an old one. Where Eagles Dare also is. Hangmen Also Die is Fritz Lang. So if you feel like slanging some Lang. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which I did just rewatch last night. Definitely the least racist of the first 3 Indiana Jones movies.
Yeah.
And the least kidnapping of a lady. Downfall, which is less about them getting blasted, more just about it's like them all freaking out because
It's
their
the meme.
stuff's falling apart.
That's where the meme came from.
Yeah.
The Hitler yelling. Yeah.
Exactly. Devil's Rock, Danger 5, which is a show I didn't know existed, which is like a Australian show about like 60s style heroes shooting Nazis. It's an odd one. Dirty Dozen, that's an old one. Boys from Brazil, and then Flame and Citron. That's what's on my list to watch. So, but I'll create my list of the good ones and let everybody know later. But in terms of actual recommendations, this is very specific and only for a few people. But we were talking about Draculas, and I'm going to declare that the best Malice Miser singer, the best singer for Malice Miser, is Klaha, the last one. I think that Gocht is probably the best singer, but Klaha is the best singer for Malice Miser. And if you ever felt like, I want to feel like a Dracula, I just want to walk around and feel like I'm swooping a cape, even if I'm just walking around my house, check out Malice Miser. Check out all the albums. The first one you can kind of ignore, but the rest of them, if you want to feel like a Dracula, check out Malice Miser. Pretty good band.
I do have a cathartic Nazi murdering. I don't know if it's a suggestion, but I at least want to acknowledge.
Oh, are you? Have you cathartically murdered a Nazi?
Not
There's
yet.
no other way.
Jaffe, I know you've seen this. I'm not going to recommend the show because it falls apart quickly, but there was a Doom Patrol show. It was almost good. And I think early in the first season, obviously the show writers were getting something out because the plot involved, Nazis, but they were technically robots. And what I appreciated about the show in that moment, which was like, I think early Trump campaign maybe, or like right after he was elected, was that every character in the show was just immediately dismissive of them. Like, I'm not listening to a Nazi, like in a jokey way, like made them jokes. And then because there were robots, there's a long musical montage where they're just like ripping off their limbs and throwing them against walls and stuff. And it's pretty cathartic.
James Gunn's Creature Commandos does this as well, but they're Proud Boys. And then a Nazi killing robot has an epiphany that, these guys are Nazis.
I would do tender, loving things to that robot.
Good job, robot.
Now, is a robot a monster, though?
Yeah, that was my next question.
I'm going to say a robot can be a monster.
They are categorized as monsters, and I'm using the Hazel Monforton taxonomy of monsters. Merritt, I know you know who Hazel is. She does a poll.
We've met several times, yeah.
Yeah, she does a poll every year, a monster fucking poll, like who are the best like monsters to fuck, and robot is on the list. So yes, a robot is a monster.
And there is a movie called Robot Monster, so.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, but if you have to then qualify it.
Was that a Mystery Science Theater? Was that was an MST, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nerd.
Well, look, my freak credentials are well established.
Yeah.
They're just not horny. They're just
All right.
other freak shit.
Wait, recommendation
Yeah, please.
for me. I guess in keeping with the Dracula theme, not the Nazi theme. If you have not yet watched Interview with the Vampire, the new Anne Rice television show, it is on Netflix. It is no longer sequestered on AMC Plus, so you can watch it on Netflix. The first season.
Sweet.
It is fan-fucking-tastic television.
Yeah. It's stupid how good that is.
Figure out how to see season 2 because it is also fan-fucking-tastic television. It is, so far, it is the best adaptation of Anne Rice's work ever. Sorry, Tom Cruise, you did a really good job as the vampire brat prince, but Sam Reed walks circles around you. Phenomenal fucking show. Just beautiful shit all the way around. And one quick thing I want to say, I know everybody loves killing Nazis.
That's right.
That's great. It should be a thing that we do all the time. The thing that annoys me about that is that we have all this energy for killing Nazis. Like Nazis are the premier boogeyman in all of like video games, in our minds as Americans and all of that stuff, when it's very funny because the Nazis got a lot of their shit from American racists. And I think we should transfer the energy that we have for like goose-stepping German Nazis with little mustaches to clan-wearing or hood-wearing Klan members because they got all their shit from that. And we need to right the balance between how many games we have about shooting Nazis, but how many games we have going after the fucking Klan, because I could count them on my hand with half my fingers. Fix it. And that's my recommendation.
Wait, I gotta correct you, though. The goose-stepping Nazis don't have little mustaches. They have blonde hair.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, there was only one Nazi who really had
There's only
the
one
mustache.
little mustache amongst them. The rest of them were...
I think this is an unfair stereotype of Nazis, Ash. You need to be more sensitive towards this maligned demographic. I need to get out of this joke right away.
What is this, Twitter?
If you enjoyed this or any episode of Insert Credit, I'd really appreciate it if you rated or reviewed this show wherever and however you can. Boy, oh boy, that would be terrific. You could also support us directly with your contributions to patreon.com/insertcredit. If you'd like to sponsor our show with an advertisement or personal message, or submit your own horrible buzzer, you can get in touch at show@insertcredit.com. You can also join our community at forums.insertcredit.com or find us on youtube.com/insertcreditshow. Go ahead and wishlist Demon School on Steam if you haven't already. I know you've been putting it off. Just do it. You can make your tax-deductible donations to the Video Game History Foundation.
Within the United States.
Yeah, so that Frank can live out his speedrunning dreams. And you can subscribe to The Verge to get more of Ash Parrish's wonderful writing. And you can buy Fledgling Manor right freaking now. This episode was edited by Esper Quinn, with music by Kurt Feldman, and a horrible buzzer by Blippity Jones. I'm Alex Jaffe.
I'm Frank Cifaldi.
I'm Ash Parrish.
I'm Brandon Sheffield.
America.
And your game has now been saved. Yahoo!
Yahoo Whippy. Wait. Wahoo Yippee. Wow. I turned it into Yahoo Whippy. That's not right.
Yahoo Whippy?
That just doesn't make sense.